Bro, back in the day, you could just go to the doctor and be like, my back hurt. They'll put you on permanent disability. You ain't never got to work another day in your life. That was the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. It was a lot of scheming and scamming, teaching, instilling in black people a culture of laziness and an adversity to work. That's what destroyed the black community even more so. Well, that's a part of the welfare shit. You have black men who they go to the doctor. Ooh, I hurt my back. I got to slip this. The doctor write him a note. Hey, he can't never work again. That's where most of your winos came from. The dudes who sat in front of the liquor store all day, and you always wonder why them niggas ain't never at work. They ran a play on black people, bro. They ran a play on the black community that is, it was all welfare. All of our dads didn't go to jail and sell drugs. Some of our dads just was involved in disability scams and workman comp scams and shit like that, and just developed this taste for like getting free money from the government and not working. So the money wasn't enough to take care of a family, but it was enough for them to be able to do what they wanted to do and not have to be responsible for nothing. So they went that way. The road, the path of least resistance. So this is a whole nother episode, but it's a lot tied up in this shit. But what I'm gonna tell you from what I know, because I'm not about to sit up and talk about this shit all the time. When we hold black women accountable, sometimes women just need to be quiet and let men do what men got to do. Once you determine the man is responsible to speak on it, just let the man speak on it. And if you got an issue with what he's saying, then you can go and make a counter argument. But it's like when I talk to my daughter, my wife don't come at me telling me about what I shouldn't have said and should have said to my daughter. Because at this point, I'm her fucking daddy. Her best interest, I got her best interest at heart. Shit, just like you. And I go and bust my ass every day at work to prove it. This is my house. The rules I establish are the rules that lay a foundation or a guideline for the rules that she will establish or her husband will establish in her house later on. Don't undermine my authority. And black women got a bad habit of doing that. And not even in the name of nothing beneficial, just in the name of a false sisterhood that doesn't even exist.
Yeah, but you said something about your dad, because I started sharing this stuff on the Nigerian channel because some of the things you were saying were very, very riveting. I can't even believe some of the things. I don't know, man. You are quite level-headed the way you emerge this way. And sometimes when you say some of those things you say about your own parents, I feel like you shouldn't, but maybe you are more evolved than I am to be able to say that so strongly and hold that strong opinion. So I respect you for that. But you said your mom went to your dad.
The reason is because I know there's a lot of black people who go through this or worse, but in the black community, we have this toxic, like pervasive, like narrative where you can't say anything negative about your parents. And that's problematic. Because if your parents were doing shit that destroyed your community, you need to be able to identify that, call that out, and make it. Like me and my mom used to have a lot of beef and we didn't even talk. Now my mom will call me like, son, you was right. You know what I'm saying? I love you. I'm proud of, having a son like you because you stand up like a man. My mom tell me, son, you are a man. And I never knew what a man was until you showed me what a man was. So a lot of our parents are like children in their mind. A lot of our parents are like children in their mind, bro. We have to understand that.
You see, what I'm trying to learn from what you are doing here, I think, what you are saying has a lot of relevance, even in our own, like Nigeria now, where you have this oppression of the elders, where the elders will tell you, shut up your mouth, while they are busy wrecking our communities. And the consequence of what they are doing on the continent is also affecting the diaspora too. So, and that's why I find some of the way you talk, at first I would say, why are you talking about your mom like that? And I'm telling you right now, there will be Nigerians watching this stuff with like, how dare he talk about his parents like that? But I think that there has to be room for questioning behavior. And the way you have come across, the way you've said some of the things you've said today, and I think it's something that our people need to be hearing. If you are listening to this, you see the reason why I said, when I realized some of the things I discovered, I was furious with all our adults in Nigeria. I was furious with all of them because I felt that some of the things those people have done to our people, They've not done the right things by their people. Even till today, they are still doing it. And many of our people, they'll be like, don't question them. They are elders, and you are insulting adults. You will not live up to their age and all that kind of stuff. But the courage you've shown, and it takes a lot of evolution for you to get to the point whereby you openly stand your ground to your mom, to the point whereby your mom came back to say, you are a man. You held your own. And that is an original. I have to give you credit for that. And for me, I'll have to try to learn from what you've said today, and how the change, especially the change that happened in the community in America there, that led to this stuff, because it wasn't happening in the 40s, 50s, and early 60s. So that change is something that we on the continent have to pay attention to too. And that said, I will leave it at that, because I don't know too much about how the intricacies of this, but I've seen videos of African American women saying that their picker is broken. So even they themselves understand that they do have issues that they need to work on.
But you want me to tell you something that I learned from my grandma on my dad's side, my healthy side, because I had a healthy side too. You know, I remember when I was young, my grandma would talk about growing up on a farm. Her daddy was a sharecropper. So my grandma had 5 brothers. And I asked her one day, like, she told me about how her first brother ended up leaving the house or whatever, right? And I was like, why did your brother end up leaving? He left, his dad, like, kicked him out of the house or whatever. She said, my dad and my mom was getting in an argument, right? And my dad hit my mom, which this is normal back in those sharecropping days. She said, my dad hit my mom. And she said, my brothers jumped on my dad and beat him up for hitting my mom. My oldest brother was the ringleader. So when my dad came to, because they knocked him unconscious, he got his shotgun and basically drove the oldest brother up out of there. The thing is, was the dad right for what he was doing? He was absolutely wrong. You gonna sit up and let your daddy kill your mama because he's mad? Or you're gonna intervene and say, look, I'm gonna deal with the consequences of this. You at a certain point when you become a man, you gotta be like, look, there's nothing my mom can do. What can my mom do to hurt me? I'm not gonna talk to you. Yeah, you are, because you want to borrow money from me all the time. Once you get in that position where you're the responsible party in the family, when you step in as the alpha, because in my family, I'm the alpha male in my family. There's no on that side, because there's nobody who has put in enough work in my family to hold that title, right? I'll say that to anybody. I've actually gotten in physical fist fights with my uncles and shit because I told them I run this family, you don't. And they want to come at me and shit. It had to happen. But the thing is, a man is going to stand up as a man against all odds. It doesn't matter. And women, they're going to fall in line under that. It doesn't matter what they think. It's like the biggest animal, most of the other animals smaller going to follow that one. You know what I'm saying? My uncles wasn't doing shit, you know what I'm saying? Running around having kids by a bunch of women and shit like that. So when I got married, had my daughter, had my wife, stayed together 20 years and shit, a lot of the women in my family saw like, damn, this dude is he's really doing the shit, that we supposed to be doing. So they just had to kind of yield to my opinions. And so, but what it does when you stand up to your parents and let them know what you think, because I be talking to my mom about this shit all the time, because I tell her she got to stand up to my grandma and tell my grandma exactly how she feels she impacted her or whatever. But my mom still be scared to do that. But what it does is it lets your parents know that you don't blame them for how you turned out. It lets you know, it lets you let them know that you identified where they were dysfunctional. You identified it so you could avoid it. Mom, you was fucking tripping, doing this and this and that. But now my mom could say, do you think my mom is happier with me being who I am and being called disrespectful? Or would she be happier with me up in jail for 45 years to life because mama can do no wrong? So instead of doing the work necessary to process the shit, I'm out in the street killing people who look like me because I got all this trauma and anger in me that I don't even understand why, and I'm taking it out on my own community. At some point, you got to err on the side of the preservation of your family and your community. And no one person, I don't give a fuck who they are, is bigger than the family unit. It's just never going to be that way. And black people, we make one motherfucker the end all be all. And then when a motherfucker die, your family's left in disarray. It's not going to be like that in this family. Not as long as I'm living.
Do you think things have gotten worse now, or you see signs of hope that things are getting better? People are beginning to realize it and doing better by their families.
There's hope because the internet. People now have access to new information that they didn't have access to before. Now, instead of looking at letting your mama treat you like shit, you can go type in, man, how to deal with a toxic parent, and you got like therapists and shit online. Like, avoid that motherfucker until they decide to show you respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've actually called in on, what's that lady's name? Dr. Laura. I've actually called into that show and talked to that lady about my family situation, and she was just like, don't go around them till they decide to show you the respect that you deserve. You know what I'm saying? Which I already knew that, but I just thought I had satellite radio because I had a rental car because my car was in the shop. And I decided, let me call in and see what this lady said. These are the things that in the black community were basically held, it was quiet as kept. The response to like trauma and abuse for men in the black community back in the day was just to leave. Y'all don't understand that. It's not just because of welfare. Black men, since we've been in America, we were taught when you have trauma or someone's doing something that hurts you, in whether they're in your family or something, you leave. My uncles right now, they all live spread out all over the United States. My grandma just got mad because my uncle was in California and he didn't even come see her. My uncle got all kinds of baggage against my grandma, but he's not man enough to talk about it. He's not man enough to tell her how he feel and stand on his square. So you know what he does? He practices something that a dog does. It's called, if you train dogs, like I train dogs, it's called avoidance. If someone has hurt you, what you do instead of being a man and going and addressing it, you avoid them. How many of y'all got male family members right now that y'all ain't seen in years? You ain't seen your favorite uncle in years. Why? Because 9 times out of 10 is something that your big mama did to him, said something to him, or was doing to him when his kid. Not no molestation or shit, but just the way she treated him that hurt him, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, because if he goes to big mama and say, mama, you this and that, now he's disrespectful. Now his other siblings jumping on him and shit. Y'all know that happened. So what does he do? He does avoidance. He just don't come around no more. You got aunties who do that and stuff. That's really what tore our families apart. Unaddressed
but
trauma.
You're not passing judgment on that. Are you saying that avoidance is okay, or it's not their fault that they're avoiding? Because that sounds similar to some of the stuff I can accuse myself of doing too. Are you saying that no, it's a fact now. We do avoid people now. So it's a fact. So are you saying that the avoidance is a problem, or is something that should be encouraged? Because you're saying that if the person comes back, there will be argument anyway.
Avoidance is instinctual. It's a natural reaction to pain or trauma. Even in an animal, animals do the same thing. If you kick the shit out of a dog, what he gonna do? He gonna run. And if you force him to be in the same area as you, when you walk near him, he gonna make a wide circle around your ass to avoid you. That's what we do with our family members when they hurt us. Especially if we feel like we can't address the issue because we're gonna get like attacked by our family members. People have, like, everybody's not me. Everybody's not like 300 pounds. Strong, knows jujitsu and shit like that, to where if people come at them, like, my family members are afraid to try to interact with me physically in a fight or something like that. That's just the way it is. Even the uncles and shit. Everybody's not like that. Sometimes in a family, you the little bro and you really the little bro. So the big bro, you disrespecting my mama, nigga, and beat your ass. I've seen that happen even with my friends. Was the mama justifying what she did? Hell fucking no. But you got the big brother who is indoctrinated just like you and the rest of the kids to, no matter what my mama do, my mama can do no wrong. No, your mom can do wrong. These are not perfect people. These are imperfect people. But when you try to put in a mask of perfection on an imperfect person, all you're doing is taking away from yourself. You're literally letting them rob you of your happiness and your dignity. No, I tell my mom straight up, When my mom used to be drinking and shit, I was like, "Yo ass is drunk, bruh. You take your ass upstairs." Like, straight up. Oh, you talking like that to your mama? Yeah, my mama acting like a person who needs to be talked to like that.
Yeah,
When she shows me that she can be responsible, then she's gonna get treated like a responsible adult because she's being a kid right now, mentally.
just what Nita is saying, that avoidance leads to things that will incapacitate you. Sometimes avoidance is just avoiding trouble. If you go and deal with it and it leads to argument, and maybe the other side refuses to take your concerns into account, what are you supposed to do other than to avoid the person? I don't understand. Do you have any solution for that? Because this seems to be something that goes on
Say,
quite often in
say that
families.
one
I
more
know
time.
a lot.
Say,
Like,
say that one more
she's
time.
saying that if you avoid, if you avoid the issues, there you are not confronting the issues with your family member. That if you go on to do that for too long, it will incapacitate you. That's her language. The question is, what if the other side doesn't want to confront the issue? Are you going to just force them to accept it, or you just stay away from them? You see my point?
What Okay, I understand, and this is like what my mom does with my grandma, right? She has all these issues with my grandma, but she doesn't want to go and say like, "Hey, this is the issue I got with you," and either you need to. This is what I feel you need to do, right? You just got to draw a line in the sand. Go to them first. You got to go to them, right? The Bible say go to that person, and go with someone else, right, who acknowledges what you're saying, and they agree with you and feel like what you're saying is valid. If that person can't be persuaded by 2 or 3 witnesses, as the Bible says, then you just leave them to their own devices, right? That's what I did with my mom. Me and my brother, who was 1 year younger than me, we both saw the same shit because the shit my mom used to try to do to me when I left, she did it to my brother. So he knew like that's how she is. So at first, I go to my mom, she wouldn't listen, wouldn't be receptive. Then my brother, he would go with me. She wouldn't be receptive. So basically, I just told my mom, like, hey, look, don't call me or nothing. Like, we good. Like, you don't got to interact with me until you acknowledge what you did, and you gotta apologize. You gotta ask for forgiveness. My mom said, "Why I gotta ask you for forgiveness?" I took my mom to a scripture in the Bible. The Bible say, "How can you claim to love God who you can't? How can you claim to love God who you cannot see, but if you don't love your brother who you could see?" Right? I basically was like, "Mom, apply that to your kids. You swear you all holy and God love you and all that." I said, "You don't love God because you don't even love your own kids." And then I said, "You'll go ask God, an invisible creature, for forgiveness if you do something wrong, but too egotistical and ignorant to ask your children for forgiveness for whatever they perceive that you did to them. Because if someone feels like you did something to them, it really doesn't matter whether you feel like you did it. It's what they perceive. Perception is reality. So you, as a parent, sometimes got to bend the knee to your kid because they might see something differently from the way you see it because they were a kid. They were powerless at that point. You held all the cards. So you can't say, I didn't do that to you. You don't know how they perceived what you did. So either you say, look, I'm sorry. I made you feel that way. It wasn't my intention to do that. This, that, and the other. And I hope can you please forgive me? People don't understand how far shit like that would go with their families, with their family relationships. And a lot of times it's the parents and the older people. They don't want to apologize. They feel like apologizing is them relinquishing authority to you or something like that. But what I would tell you tonight, whoever fucking with you or whoever did it, go over there, just be like, look, you know why you haven't seen me in this many years? It's because this, and this, and this. First thing they're going to do is try to argue with you. Don't argue with them. Just be like, look, I said what I said, and I'm just letting you know that if you value this relationship and you want to repair it, this is what I need you to do. You got to give them a path to success, to being able to repair the relationship, a path to reparations, as you could say. But if you just don't talk to them and they don't really understand where you're coming from, or if they don't realize that something that you brought up a lot of times that they just brushed off was really important to you, they'll never come around and talk to you because they at that point just feel like you're being an asshole.
In terms of giving them a path, trust me now, I've given them that in my own life. I've given a lot of people, I always tell you, this is the issue. And if you don't want to address it, then clearly you don't want to, deal with me on a level playing field. I give them a pass. I give them a path to, kind of having a common ground. But if they refuse, and then this is where I disagree with Joss Nita, is that if the other side refuses, you can't hook yourself to their own stunt way of looking at the world. Because if somebody becomes intransigent, then what are you going to do? Cripple your life because they are intransigent? You have to somehow move on and say, okay, I have to do my own thing. And this is where those your uncles, when it comes down to that, these your own uncles. I don't know the individual cases. Some of them may be in that situation where they they are open to interacting with people. If I speak to all those family members today, it will look like we are not even arguing at all. But the point is that sometimes some people just refuse to, accept your way of looking at the world. And if you don't have the energy to keep engaging them, you're not going to spend all your energy dealing with them, are you? You just have to go on and deal with the part of the world that you can change. You can't control how people feel. That is the way I look at it anyway. But that said, I must say I've picked up a lot of, the idea that you take people that agree with you to to the meeting. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I think that is something I may have to try now and again. I think you are more mature on these issues than most people. I have to give you credit for that.
I mean, thanks, but yeah, the thing is, like, and the thing is, everybody knows what took place. Like, sometimes back in the day, my mom would try to deny certain shit. Like, I didn't do that. That's when I had my brother there or my sister there. Like, Mom, you was doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? You did do this and you did do that. You know, that and they're gonna resist it because what people have done is to move forward, they compartmentalize shit and like bury it right in their mind. They don't like to bring that shit forward because it brings a lot of like feelings, like bad feelings and memories up. So you just create like, you really got to take a different approach. If there's one way your family always interact, like I remember one time my family always arguing shit. We go to a restaurant, we always arguing and shit like that. So one time we went to, it was a graduation, my cousin's graduation, right? So we go to the graduation and shit. Everybody like, we want to go out and eat afterwards. So we get there and we eat and niggas is ordering drinks and all that. They start arguing about the bill. This is something that my family always does, argue about the bill. I don't know why. So I said, man, forget the bill. I pay the bill. It was like $700. I paid the bill. My wife was real mad at me. I told my wife, I said, look, here's the thing. Me paying that bill was $700, right? I said, but here's the thing too. I took a position as an authority in the family because every nigga that was 40 years old and 50 years old sat right there with their money in their pocket and watched their youngest nephew pay for the bill for the whole family. Big mama, my mom, my aunt, all that. My brother, my sisters, all they fucking kids. That's what you do in your family. Money talks, bullshit walks. The person who is the stabilizing force, that's who everybody's going to gravitate to. And that's why in my family now, my mom could say anything, but my word is law. Like I was yelling at my nephew about his glasses, right? Because he's older, he's 17, he's walking around, his glasses was broke. I said, you could go down to America's Best. You got insurance? Go get you some glasses. My mom said, I said, I'm going to give you the money. Go down there, get you glasses. My mom is sitting in the back seat. She says, well, he has Medi-Cal. He could get free glasses. I said, Mom, you need to keep your mouth shut while I'm talking to my nephew. Because when he was with my sister walking around with no fucking glasses, squinting, walking into walls and shit, and you was with my sister every day, going over her house every day, you didn't say shit. You didn't take him to the doctor to get an eye exam, nothing. So now that I'm handling it, keep your mouth shut and let me handle it. I mean, my mom just was like, all right, she didn't say nothing. But the reality, but I just told the truth. When a lot of women, they won't do shit to fix the problem. But when a man steps up to fix the problem, they got all these opinions on how the problem should be addressed and fixed. This is the truth. And in that moment, like, maybe my mom had an epiphany, like, damn, that is true, because he didn't have glasses for 2 years, and this boy's blind as a bat, was failing out of school because he didn't have glasses. My mom was with my sister every day, and not once did his grandma say, let me take him to the eye doctor Since it's so free and he got Medi-Cal, she wouldn't have to pay shit. She never said, let me take him to the eye doctor to get him some glasses so his vision won't deteriorate to the point of being blind. Now that the man, me, his uncle, is handling it, guess what? She got all these opinions. Mom, we don't need your opinion. I'm talking to him, man to man. He's 17. He has to learn to be responsible. I've given him the money. Fuck Medi-Cal. Don't nobody want them cheap-ass Medi-Cal glasses anyway. I gave him money to get... Man, I gave him money to get something good, with the no glare and shit so he won't be having migraines and stuff. That's just how men have to interact. Stand on your fucking square and stop worrying about hurting people's feelings all the time. Yo, Big Mama don't give a fuck about hurting your feelings. Big Mama tell you straight to your face without giving two fucks.
Well, guess what? That, bro.
Yeah. Your grandma could talk to you like shit and tell you, and you be crying, that's my Big Mama. Trust me, our people are not as thin-skinned as we like to think. The ego might get hurt.
But Brandon, though, like if sometimes it's like in our own in Nigeria now, they will be like the elders know more. So when do you defer to the elders? Okay, when they are doing the right things, do you agree that they should be allowed to call the shot? But it's when they start doing the wrong thing, you have to truly challenge them. You agree with that? Not on every issue. You just like turn on the elders and just start questioning their judgment. I don't know if you understand what I mean, because there has to be a middle ground. It's a sliding scale, isn't it? You can't just start challenging elders every time they just tell you something just because you feel like you have to have your say. I don't know if you understand what I mean, because I'm trying to kind of calibrate it. How does it fit into our own that's in the Nigerian context? How would it fit? Because the elders control stuff there.
The elders' knowledge is theoretical for the most part at this point, right? Because the world has changed so much that they don't really understand the way the world works, the nuances, right? So generally speaking, they do have the knowledge and the wisdom, right? But when it comes to the real world, as far as applicable wisdom, I just think that it's a generational thing. The elders have general wisdom, but the ones who are under them, the 40s, the late 30s, the 40s, the 50s, they're going to have, in my opinion, more nuanced and applicable wisdom to what's going on now. Like there's general things like that can make, it's like Jesus, right? Jesus taught in parables, illustrations. The illustration might not be exact, might not deal with exactly what you're going through, but by hearing the illustration, you could take out the principles in the illustration that apply to your situation. And that's how the wisdom of elders should be taken. But I'll tell you this too. There's elders who know more than other elders. And that's what you got to understand. And the true elders are going to tell you, they're going to put the younger generation in the lead, and they're just going to offer counsel. But they're ultimately going to defer to the decisions of the younger generation. Because like me, I have an elder, like my mom, she's older than me, but my mom understands that there's some shit she just don't know about. So in some instances, she'll just be like, just ask Brandon about that because I don't really know about that. Whereas there's some stubborn elder people who they don't give a fuck. They feel like they're older than you, so they should always be able to have say so over you. And that actually just shows a lack of wisdom versus real wisdom. Because my daughter know way more about computers and shit than I do. Why would I sit there struggling to figure something out when I go ask her, like, how do you do this? And she could teach me in 1 second and I can learn from her. That doesn't mean she's the dad now and I'm the daughter. It just means that I was smart enough to learn. Smart people, wise people know how to delegate and put people in positions that will make the whole situation successful. So people who don't know how to do that, I don't even consider them as elders. I just consider them as olders. They're not elders. They're just older.
Olders. See, I've heard a lot of African Americans talk about some of these issues, but the way you talk about it, you use your own examples. But when you hear the others talk about it, they tend to come across as if they are angry with women and they just say some very negative things about women. I don't know if there's a middle ground where there is a way to talk about these issues that doesn't lead to that. Like when I listened to Kevin Samuels at first, it came across as if he was being condescending to women. But in your own case, it doesn't come across like that because you're giving examples from your own life. So are there ways to talk about this in a way that someone like me that likes to think that I like to try to be a little bit balanced would not see it as being just attacking of women? They are doing bad things and they are getting everything wrong, and without necessarily calling out the men. And I must say, even with this discussion that that's the way you are addressing this issue right now, the way you didn't call your dad out as much. You did say that he did some things, but it's mostly on your mother's side. That's the one you are confronting the most. But it didn't come across as if you were being bitter against women. But the others they come across like that. That is, that balance, I feel like is a little bit off, because what that leads to is argument between the sexes. They start saying, women against men, men against women, stuff like that.
That's because I don't blame my mom for shit. Like, my mom is just, if you know women and shit, you kind of see why they do what they do. The thing where I would have a problem with my mom is if she would reject what I'm saying, which she did reject what I was trying to say for a long time. And we didn't talk. Like, we didn't have like a relationship like that. But once she came around, because as time goes on, you start seeing the facts. You start seeing, where is this dude getting with what he thinks versus where I'm getting with what I think. If someone getting further with you than if someone's getting further with what they think, and you ain't going nowhere with the shit you think, then maybe you should just defer to their wisdom. But I want you to listen to it. This is an example. This is Jomo, right? This, in my opinion, is example of a real elder. There's just elders, and then there's elders. Jomo is an elder. He's wise. You know what I'm saying? He talked to you like he got sense. Listen to what he say. He's in this point, he's talking to me about listening to older people. When I was dealing with this situation, when I was leading a study group in an organization where I had a bunch of older people always trying to come in and like tell me what to do and boss me around and shit. And so listen to what he said.
Yeah, man, I don't give a fuck if they're old or whatever. We keep it respectful. Well, you know what? If somebody is old and ignorant, when I say that, because I'm old, right? If you ignorant, leading me into the graveyard of hell, fuck you. Now I got so much time to spend on you, trying to make you explain what you call political education. PE. Right. You dig it? Yeah. But you got to get in what's going on. The internet, the blogs, the YouTube. If you ain't with that shit, what we trying to do? What you talking about? Right. This shit didn't work for you, apparently, because you're crying about it now, 40 years later. Man, yeah, I feel you 100%. Right? Real talk. You some new shit. Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, he said everything. And that's why I came out the way I came out, because I dealt with older people who didn't let their ego get in the way of common sense and rational thinking. He just dropped a whole jewel. You don't know about the internet, email, none of this shit. You're not even trying to know. What the fuck are you talking about? Because there's nothing you really can tell me, because if you knew so much more than what I know, then we wouldn't even be in a position where you got to tell me anything. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sometimes people have to understand
Brandon, Brandon, let me just say this. You have a lot to offer on this, but I think this your swearing and cursing and everything is going to deprive you quite a lot of audience, especially if you want to talk to quite a lot of people, because you are saying something about responsibility here. And if you are the one swearing this much, they will be like, why should I listen to you? Look at how he's sweating like a potty mouth. That kind of stuff. You see what I mean?
To me. Go home and cry.
But what you are saying is important. People need to hear it.
Yeah. Listen,
I think you need to consider that what you are saying is important. People need to hear it.
Tunija, it's selective outrage. The same people talking about my delivery is harsh sit up and listen to rap music and drill music and they listen to white dudes who curse at them all the time. There's a white guy on YouTube. He's an old white guy. I think he's was like a Wall Street guy or something. He has a beard, just an old man. He got glasses on, and he cursed like a sailor. Man, what the fuck you doing? And people pay him to come speak to them about finance and business and all that shit. But somebody else will say, oh, his potty mouth is going to disqualify him. The real reason The reality is people try to control you any way they can. And if they can control you by saying, oh, your delivery is not perfect, so I don't want to listen to you, they will. Me, I'm going to be me. Everybody talk about, oh, I want to be around the real niggas. I'm being me. I'm real. This is who I am. If you want the real me, then you're going to take it.
I
if
think
you don't,
picture this. A lady is in the kitchen listening to you. Her children are around. That's one. A man is in the living room listening to you. That's another one. And I think that is something we have to keep in mind, that people that are listening to us, they are not only just watching you, so but they are just playing you in the background. They want to listen to you. But when they hear the language, they will put you off, then they will miss your message. That's the point I'm trying to make, that you want to think about that, because I think you have a powerful message out there. If you ask me, Dion, what are you shaking? What are you shaking your head for? What I'm saying makes sense.
I'll tell you why I'm shaking my head, because Jesus spoke very lovely to these people, and they didn't listen to his message. And Jesus spoke quite nice to people. They didn't listen to him. It doesn't matter what the message is or how you did. You shouldn't worry about how they're speaking to you. It's what they're saying. Is it true or not true? You know, that's, and for the most part.
But do you want to reach those young women, those people, those forming women?
No, but
because he's talking to adults like us, but there are young people that need to hear him.
No, but the thing about it is, when you're talking to a certain group of people, the people that you're trying to reach out to, that message that you want to get to them, most of them speak this way, and they speak more vulgar than what Brandon's speaking. And especially if someone's just speaking, if they, it's one thing. It ain't like Brandon's calling people bitches and out their name. He might use a word as a verb to get his point across or something like that, as a, but he ain't calling nobody out their name or doing nothing like that. That's just a bunch of.
Yeah, but I you know what, I get what you're saying. Most of the people that he's targeting actually use worse languages, but
yeah.
My thing is that I feel like the message he's trying to get out there has resonance in a wider audience. And if he just kind of use the kind of language that other people can want to listen to, he's going to reach a lot more people. I think the way he talks about it is different from the way I hear other people talk about it. I would have challenged him a lot of times already if I was feeling like that. But you don't get that from him. He's talking about from his own experience and how the result. He even talked about results. His own mom is telling him that he's the man and all the rest of it. And I can resonate with that. And I'm just saying that he could reach larger audience and younger people that would benefit from this if he just, because it's not only those people that speak that language that need this type of guidance. Actually,
but
there are a lot of people in
Brandon,
college right now that need it too.
I have a 17-year-old daughter who's upstairs in bed right now, but there's been many nights that I jumped on and spoke to Brandon, and she'd be sitting in her bedroom listening. I mean, she's of age at 16 and 17 where she didn't heard me curse, but he's not saying nothing that would deter her from saying, I don't want to listen to that guy. There's worse people that you could be listening to on the internet. And then if you don't want to listen, then maybe the message ain't for you. So I don't see him losing anybody. I mean, matter of fact, I'm going to tell you this too. That you listen to Jason Whitlock, Brandon?
Yeah.
I cannot think of this guy's name, but he's the dude who sent me to you, was the Asian brother that he always has on.
Yeah, the Asian dude, yeah.
Yeah, he hooked me. He told me to go find you. So I don't know how they pulling your numbers down or keeping it down, because they got a big platform. He was like, him and Jason was talking. He was like, what are the good people you listen to? He dropped your name. And I was like, Pan-African. I went and put it on YouTube, and that was my first time I listened to it. I was like, oh, man, you know what? Because I like listening to some of the stuff that Asian guy talks about. He was talking. He dropped your name. He was just talking about good black people that are out there speaking good messages, and he mentioned you.
Yeah, I remember that dude. Shout out to him. That dude has a podcast called the 12 Rounds or some boxing podcast. I got shouted out on Jason Whitlock's page, and a lot of people came here for that. But people want to hear people who share their politics and their belief system. And just the reality is, I might talk about politics. I might talk about Africa. But the reason why I share my personal information is because I want you guys to understand, listen, the shit that happens to you in your childhood and stuff, that shit don't define you like that. But you can let it define you. But it only defines you if you don't go address the issue with the people who did whatever and just let them know, hey, what you did wasn't cool. And like, don't expect me to fuck with you unless you come to me and apologize. You go to God for forgiveness when you mess up. Well, I want you, like me, I never hesitate to apologize. My brother was mad at me for 3 years about some shit I didn't even do. You know what I did? He got out of jail. I took him to lunch. I said, man, I just want to tell you, if I ever did anything to offend you, bro, like, I apologize. This, like, not talking and stuff is stupid. I don't even know why you mad at me. He said, honestly, man, I thought you was mad at me. I said, I got no issues with you. It was solved. Why would we there's people who got some shit like that going on, let that stay like that 50 years, 40 years, 20 years. Just open your damn mouth up. You go to work and kiss your boss ass all day. Sorry, sir, I didn't mean to do this, sir. Just go be the bigger person, and if that is enough to fix your family, always let people know, hey, I'm willing to work this shit out with you. I'm willing to talk about this, if you ever want to, discuss it. Just leave the door open for it. And 9 times out of 10, it'll probably end up good. But guys, I gotta get the heck out of here.
What out for your Tariq Nasheed season, because you always go to the Tariq Nasheed season, and I don't know, I don't want to talk about Tariq Nasheed. But that said, anyway, I really appreciated, I think I've learned a few things from this session today, which I didn't expect at all. But so thank you for having me. I really appreciate some of the stuff you've got to share and everything.
I think tonight just trying to say Brandon should be more of an example for young people by using less profanity. Young people's parents should be an example for them. That's who should be an example for them.
A grown up, man. Come on.
Don't put that on me. I'm an example for mine. You know what I'm saying? And mine is turning out okay. That's what we gotta do.
That's how Republicans sing.
We gotta stop. Bro, we gotta
stop way of thinking.
And we gotta, because I'm gonna be real. I'm not gonna fucking set a good example for your kids, because I want your kids to be down, because that gives my kid a better chance of being successful over them.
You had grandparents. Not everybody is that lucky. Some people don't have guidance. Come on, stop that. Come on.
Listen, dude, I dealt with bullshit when I was a kid, and look where I ended up. And now look at what I'm producing. My kid who has a better life than me. I'm just telling y'all, this shit is a competition. And in a competition, ain't nobody gonna do nothing for your kids to put your kids over their kids. Now, if you want to talk to your kid, I'll talk to your kid, give them some advice. But at the end of the day, my life is reserved for my child. You know what I'm saying? And if you want your kid to have a good example, be that role model for them. Be the role model.
All good.
Stop cursing out your baby daddy and getting in your ego and kicking them out the house. Maybe your kids will have a better trajectory in life. I'm just keeping it a buck with you guys. First, let me give a shout out to my boy JP from the LB. Thank you for the $5 holler in the Cash App. Also, shout out to Ife. Thank you for the $15 holler in the Cash App. Shout out to my boy Hakeem for the $20 holler in the Cash App. Shout out to my boy Dion for the $2 holler in the Cash App. And Eric, shout out to you for the $3 holler in the Cash App. And I'm definitely going to hit you up a little bit later today. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Chrissy, did you have anything else? You just been there so patient, so quiet, so Chrissy gone. Chrissy just up here. She ain't even in here, but she up here. I think she gone, y'all. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this long-ass stream. This stream was long. 4 hours. It's been a long time. 4 hours. Chrissy went to sleep on us. All right, thank y'all. I like that. It was good to get a long stream in. You know what I'm saying? A nice 4-hour joint from the hills of Nairobi. You know what I'm saying? But I'll talk to y'all later. Till the next time. Peace.